Hey guys, what's up? So, about 2 minutes ago, Ubisoft's press conference of this year's E3 2018 has wrapped up, and I want to go through my notes and I want to share my thoughts because there's a lot to talk about. They did show a lot, but yeah, at the same time, not that much really. Let's go through it. It wasn't a bad show, let me say that much. I did enjoy it, it was entertaining. They started off with a dancing panda. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was majorly cringeworthy. And this is so ironic because obviously it was the announcement for the new Just Dance game, and they had the dancing panda on the exterior of the building, and then he went into the room and on stage, and it became like this really weird dance show. And every year they do this, and every year the community tells them, like, look, just don't do it. We understand that Just Dance is like a popular franchise, and you kind of want to announce a new game, but the people who buy Just Dance are not the people who watch E3 live conferences, right? It's just not the same audience. So maybe do a separate announcement, upload a video to YouTube, announce it with that, but leave it out of these conferences, right? Because it just doesn't feel right. It's just cringy. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna see this popping up in loads of awkward, taken out of context memes and stuff. It was just really, really weird. Then they moved on to this really lovely, well-made trailer, render trailer. We see space and really amazing characters. It became pretty clear quickly that it's Beyond Good and Evil 2. Again, I haven't played the first part, so I'm kind of lacking the relation to this game. The trailer was amazing, and then two people came on stage and they did show a little bit pre-alpha gameplay, which I was happy about, but when I saw it, it wasn't even really gameplay. I think it was more like a proof of concept, or like a proof of their ambition, what they want to do in terms of graphical fidelity. And it looked good, but it left me a bit like asking for more, because I wanted to see, what do I actually do in the game? I actually went and Googled Beyond Good and Evil 1 and looked at the gameplay to get a rough idea what I might be able to expect from this game. So I'm not really sure. But the trailer looked stunning, like incredible detail. I want to see a movie that has this quality, right? And those characters. It looked really, really cool. But no gameplay, just a trailer. I don't count that little part of pre-alpha gameplay. It didn't really tick my box for that. So then Joseph Gordon-Levitt comes on stage. That's the guy from movies like Inception and Looper. You definitely know him. And he spoke about this company that he has, which is called Hit Record. And what they want to do is they want to give the community a chance to shape the world with their own art of like Beyond Good and Evil 2. So apparently it's like a platform where people can collaborate on art, whether it's music or design, short films, and then that would be somehow overlaid into the game. So maybe you create a collaborative art piece with your friend, and that would then be visible for everyone to see in the world of Beyond Good and Evil 2, which is cool. That's a good ambition. That's a nice idea. I want to see that. But again, it sounded all very hypothetical, and they were not like, go here, click this, do it like that, and then look how that appears in the game. They have a website up right now. I think if you Google Hit Record, then you can go to that website, and apparently you can already collaborate on pieces that might go into the game. But beyond that vision that he verbally expressed, there wasn't just that much there to see. And then the first funny moment happened because they were leaving the stage and the mic wasn't switched off. And as they walked backstage, you could hear them saying, "Oh, we nailed it, we nailed it." So I enjoy this kind of stuff because that's actually real human stuff, right? And this is not like scripted or anything. And you can actually see, look, there are actually people. There are people behind those scripted lines. And these Ubisoft conferences always feel a bit weird. I noticed that this year they didn't have forgot her name, the black lady who last year and the year before hosted the show, which I think she always did a good job. I quite enjoyed, she threw a few jokes in and stuff. It was entertaining. She wasn't there this year. I didn't miss her too much, but, it was just an interesting observation. They then went on to talk a little bit about Rainbow Six Siege. They highlighted the community, that they have 35 million players, and I assume that is players overall and not active players. That would be crazy if they would have 35 million active players. Then they announced a bit of new content, which is, I think, called Operation Parabellum. It's available now. They highlighted the esport ambition of the game, and that there's a new series of tournaments, and they made a documentary about all these esport players, and they were very proud of their kind of e-sport heritage that they achieved with this game, which is fair. I'm not really sure to what extent it is a big e-sport game, really, like in terms of, separate tournaments. Like, for example, everyone knows Counter-Strike is a great competitive esport game. I don't know how Rainbow Six Siege compares to a game like that, but they highlighted that they were clearly very proud of that achievement. Then this guy in an Evel Knievel costume entered the room with the big word trials written over his back, and he did a bit of a show coming in, going on stage, falling into like this table that was built up, and they did a bit of show and announced a new Trials game. It's going to be called Trials Rising, and it was all about failing in class and style and just crashing in style. When I looked at the trailer and the footage they showed, actually they had quite a bit of gameplay there for that game. It just felt like more of the good old stuff, right? They didn't reinvent the wheel, which makes sense. It's a Trials game after all, but I don't know what I was expecting, but it just felt more a bit like a DLC, a big DLC for the old game. It didn't, in my opinion, from what I saw here, it didn't add too much new stuff to the table. Even all the ragdoll movement and all the little effects that happen in the end of each map when you drive into something and crash. It felt like stuff we had seen before in previous Trials games. Not a bad thing, right? Because the Trials games are good and I enjoy them. It's going to come out in February 2019. Then they moved on to The Division 2. And I was like, all right, sell me on this. Okay, sell me. Because you failed me on the Washington location. I'm not happy with this. Apparently a lot of other people are. If you read the comments under the Twitter announcements, people love it. People are very, very hyped. They spoke on stage about rebirth of society, and they showed a render trailer which was very, very dark, and it gave me a very merciless feeling. There were like public executions, like a strong sense of hopelessness and death everywhere on the streets, which was interesting, right? It sold me a bit more on this world that they're trying to create. They also announced raids that you apparently can do with 8 players now, and people really like that. Now, I'm not a big World of Warcraft or MMO fan or player, so I can't really say much about it, but everyone is really hyped and happy with that. So I'm glad to see that they tick these boxes. They spoke also about what they learned from the Division 1 and mistakes that they possibly made. So they announced a continuous plan for the first year to add 3 free DLCs to the game, 3 story DLCs that everyone can get in the form of 3 episodes. So you get new items, new stories, and people seemed really hyped. Like everyone really loved it. And I was just sitting there like, am I the only one who's not really super excited about this? I was a big fan of the Division 1. I don't know, I must have played like 60, 70 hours of it. So I'm not like a huge 1,000 hour player or something, but I enjoyed it. This doesn't really do it for me. I don't know why. I think maybe they move it a little bit more into this MMO direction now with the raids and stuff. Remains to be seen. They had a bit of gameplay after the show, which I looked at. But again, it didn't really do it for me. It would be interesting to get your thoughts. And if you're like really hyped for this game, let me know down in the comment section below what creates the hype for you. Why are you hyped? Because I don't really see it, to be honest. Then they moved on to Mario and Rabbids. And again, the guy who was on stage when he left the stage, they didn't switch his microphone off. And the other guy was like, you could hear that behind the stage. He was like, yeah, sorry that we didn't change your entrance. And he was like, oh, the entrance changes every minute. What can I do? And he was just really annoyed. Gave me, made me chuckle. I was laughing about that. That was funny. That was probably one of the few funny moments in the whole presentation. Anyway, coming back to Mario and Rabbids, they talked about, a celebration of the first game. They thanked the fans. They proclaimed it to be a massive success. They had like a live band, and they now announced that Donkey Kong is joining this game. And they showed like this quite weird, I guess you could call it a trailer in the background, but it was really confusing because you had the band in the front and the trailer in the background. It wasn't gameplay, and there was Donkey Kong, and nobody really said what it is. Like, is it a DLC? Is it a new game? So even the guy who came on stage, he didn't even say, I am the lead producer of Donkey Kong and Rabbids. No, he just said, I'm the lead producer. And I was like, okay, of what? What are we talking about here? So I had this moment where I was just really confused and puzzled, asking myself, what is happening on stage right now? They then revealed that it is a game that is called, it has a really catchy name, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle Donkey Kong Adventure. That's the name. So really short, really catchy. Apparently, I mean, I haven't played Mario and Rabbids. It's supposed to be quite good, actually. But yeah, didn't play it, so I can't say too much about it. But they're adding Donkey Kong to the equation. It felt quite nice because it felt like they're bringing a little bit of that Nintendo magic, like this kind of Disney Nintendo magic these companies bring to the table. They brought that to the stage, so that's nice. The game comes out on June 26th. Then they turned everything dark and everything went black, and the Skull and Bones render trailer came in, and there were a few interesting aspects in that. Like, so far I thought it's basically a ship battle simulator. It's basically Assassin's Creed Black Flag without the whole Assassin's Creed part. But they showed stuff like diplomacy, right? They showed in this render trailer how you could bribe like people of the Federation, and then maybe they're on your side, and how you could partner up with other players in this shared big open world to then fight against, a common enemy. So it is interesting stuff. Trading seemed to play a role. You could see, ships sitting in harbors and wares being loaded and unloaded from the ships. So I don't know if they're adding like this economy system nearly to it. They showed a little bit of gameplay in the end, but yeah, for example, you saw when you're in the harbor, all you have, it looked like it at least, you have these kind of freeze frames where you can then interact with like a still frame. You can say load that much of this item or unload all my loot and turn it into money. So there's definitely no aspect where you can walk on land, where you are a character that walks on land and then re-enters the ship. So I guess the only point where you can literally move around is in the ship. And I think looking at this gameplay, I'm just wondering, is that enough, right? Because in my opinion, Assassin's Creed Black Flag was such a good game because you alternated these two gameplays, right? You came to the land, you ran around, you did your Assassin's Creed stuff, fulfilled your missions, and just when you were sick of that, you could jump back on your boat, and then you had the sea battles. And just when you were sick of those, you could jump back on land and do some AC stuff. So it was the balance between those two that made it great. And if you now just have the ship battles, and that also was my initial reaction when they showed that game like last year, like in a short trailer, is this gonna be enough? Surely it has more visual finesse, it's prettier than the ship gameplay in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It also looked more tactical, right? Like, organizing where your partnered ships might be, where other players are, and then how you circulate around like an enemy's frigate or something. It remains to be seen. I wasn't really sold. Leave your comments in the comment section down below. What were your thoughts on this game, Skull and Bones, or the footage that they showed? Then Elijah Wood came out, and he spoke about this company that he has. I think they teased this game already last year without showing much. But this company that's called Spectre Vision. And they're working together with Ubisoft on this game that's called Transference. And apparently it's like an interactive movie. So they described it as like a film with the interactive elements of a game. So that did sound interesting, and it looked quite good. So you have some scenes where you literally have real actors acting out scenes, talking to you as you're a character in the game. But then you also had parts that were clearly in-engine, where you can run around in a space. So I'm quite curious where they're gonna take this. They described it as like a psychological thriller where you can enter someone else's mind. So yeah, that got me interesting, and I wanted to see more of that, right? It's going to come fall 2018, so we're not far off. But yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with that and what kind of experience in terms of gameplay that's actually going to be, because they didn't give much away of that. Then they introduced Starlink. Now, Starlink is a Nintendo Switch exclusive game. And at first it looked like a space sim, but then it also looked like they took inspiration from games like No Man's Sky, where you have to harvest materials on planets. So I wasn't entirely sure. Then they showed this really slightly odd controller add-on, where you have like a physical toy sitting on top of your controller, and you can change weapons and attachments on that ship, and that obviously has an effect on the ship in your game. So interesting. not sure how well that's actually gonna work. And then they brought out Miyamoto and the crowd freaked out and they showed that Star Fox is gonna be in Starlink. But there was like a bit of a disconnect for me because they showed Starlink and talked about like the Atlas star system and all that. And then black screen and then Star Fox came on screen. And I was like, wait, is this still the same game? Or is this a different game? Wasn't really sure. It clearly is the same game. And they were very proud to have Star Fox in their game as a character that you can play. I mean, I guess these are the benefits of being buddies with Nintendo, right? You get the licenses to put these kind of things in your game, and I think that's only stuff that Ubisoft can do. So it's nice to see that this partnership between Nintendo and Ubisoft is paying off, and that they are quite open to do these crossovers between two different brands. I think that's a good thing, right? Again, it's exclusive on Nintendo Switch. They then moved on to For Honor, right? They talked about the community and how much they treasure all the cosplayers and everyone who brought the game to life. Now the starter edition is free to download on Uplay, and I think they just want to get more people in the game, which is fine. This is totally all right. You know, this is also stuff we've seen with Quake Champions at Bethesda, where they basically make a trial version available for free. I think the thought behind that is also to get more players into the game. If you go to steamcharts.com, you can see how many active players are currently playing For Honor, and I can see that in the last 48 hours, the maximum was around 4,000. So roughly 4,000 people are still playing this game. Not a huge community, but if these people really enjoy it and they're kind of hardcore fans of the game, then that's something to build on. And maybe this free trial is actually going to make an impact, give them more players, sell the game again, and make it a bit more popular. They announced a DLC, which is called the Marching Fire DLC. It's going to come on the 16th of October this year. So they showed another pretty render trailer, not any gameplay or anything. And that seemed like a bit of a red thread through the whole presentation up to this point. There was not a lot of gameplay. There were loads of pretty render trailers, some in-engine and some just literally rendered. And they all had like a really high quality standard, but there was not a lot of actual gameplay where you can see what's going on, right? What is the actual product you're selling me? So I was missing that a little bit. That Marching Fire DLC looked quite cool. Apparently they are introducing like ancient Chinese soldiers and new characters. I think 4 new characters and a new mode into the game. The new mode is called Breach Mode, so you're breaching a castle, which looked cool. And they showed another in-game render trailer, and yeah, it's all good. But to be honest, the way they sold the game there is not what I heard from people who played it. Most people who played it said it gets boring incredibly quickly, and it doesn't have like an exciting learning curve where you want to come back to it and you want to master kind of the game and the mechanics. A lot of people had like fatigue after a short time of playing, but that is like more than half a year ago that people told me that. So who knows, you know, maybe these updates are going to turn it around and make it interesting again. The Crew 2 was up next, and again they showed an in-engine render trailer, no real gameplay. It looked okay. You know, what would you expect from the Crew 2? You can fly, you can race, you know, with different cars and motorcycles, you can ride boats and all that, and it looked cool, it looked fine, but again, nothing really that I would get excited about. June 29th is the launch date for that. So again, that's not far off. There were loads of games that were announced to come out very soon. So that's good, right? I always appreciate when we don't have to wait too long. And then the screen went black and we just saw like this Roman mask, or it looked like a Roman mask, fly towards the screen. And I was confused for a second, right? Because I looked at it like, what is this? Roman Empire stuff? Ancient Greece? I don't know. I was really puzzled at that moment. And then like, for a second, I thought it might be some kind of sequel to Rise, Son of Rome, if you remember that game. But obviously that was a Crytek game, so that wouldn't have anything to do in this presentation. But it looked like that. And then my second thought was Assassin's Creed. Then I came back and thought, this can't be Assassin's Creed. There are no robes. There's no Templar stuff. It just didn't look like an Assassin's Creed. So I thought maybe it's a new IP, completely new IP, different game. very impressive world. Everything they showed looked fantastic and just very large and wide open. So it was impressive. Turns out it is a new Assassin's Creed game. Now it's called Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And to be honest, I find it interesting. I did enjoy this part because it is different. It is unexpected. And it seems like they move away from what people expect from an Assassin's Creed game. It was very different. New vibes. Like I said, less robes, less hoodies and all the stuff from that. There was no Animus stuff. I don't know if they're going to bring that back. Probably they will. But also the world, right? So it's playing in ancient Greece, and they showed a bit of gameplay on Mykonos, which is this Greek island, and it looked absolutely gorgeous. But I think it's an amazing opportunity to also weave in something like Greek mythology. Because some of the stuff they showed, like for example, she had like this sword or this dagger, and as she was fighting, you can choose between two main characters, by the way, in the beginning of the game, a male and a female character. As she was hitting enemies with this dagger, there were like little fire pop-ups on their body, and it nearly felt like they're injecting a little bit of a fantasy aspect to the game. And I can imagine that hardcore Assassin's Creed fans are offended by that, and they're like, that's not an Assassin's Creed game. I've seen a few comments like that. But in my opinion, that's a good thing, right? Because it's a play on this Greek mythology, and there are really fascinating stories to be told if they weave that in. Also, in the very last scene, you kind of saw this horned monster coming towards our main character. So I can't wait where they're going to take it, right? Also, I appreciate that they did show gameplay for this. They showed like a full, I don't know what it was, it felt like 3-4 minutes maybe. Full 3-4 minutes of gameplay. They showed mass battles where you literally have hundreds of people standing on a beach fighting each other. It looked cool, it looked impressive, and I like that they're just taking it into a different direction. Also visually, it seemed like it made quite a step up. All the facial animations look good. You met Socrates in the game, which is quite funny. That brought memories back of Assassin's Creed 2, where you meet like Leonardo da Vinci and these kind of historical figures. So yeah, that's looking good. It's coming October 5th. I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to buy it, right? I haven't even played the previous one, the one in Egypt, and I haven't played the two before that as well. I still have them on my wish list on Steam, and every time they're on sale, I get an email, and they're like, hey, do you not want to play Assassin's Creed Unity finally, or Syndicate? It's really cheap now, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I want to play them, and I want to check these worlds out, but again, it seems like they're not really putting in consideration this fatigue that some people have. Yes, it feels very different. It's like a different take on an Assassin's Creed game, it seems. But still the fatigue is there. And we just got an Assassin's Creed game last year, which was vast and big and impressive. And now we're getting another one. I mean, why don't you wait another year? Why don't you say October 5th, 2019? Probably because then they're already launching another Assassin's Creed game. So it looked good. I was happy with it, but I'm probably not going to play it because the Assassin's Creed pile is just getting bigger and bigger, and I want to start on the bottom, right? I want to play a bit of Unity, then I want to play a little bit of Syndicate. One thing that they mentioned, though, what is very interesting, is that they didn't describe it as a traditional Assassin's Creed, but more as an RPG Assassin's Creed game, right? Where it sounds like you have all these character traits where you can level up your character and kind of make him or her your own. So a lot of interesting hints there. Let's see where they're going to take this. And then all the people came on stage, everyone who was involved in the presentation, and there was this big, hero shot of everyone who was involved. And I was waiting for the "and there's one more thing" moment that Ubisoft does sometimes, right? It didn't happen. It really didn't happen. And that left me disappointed, and you could see it in the comments on YouTube as well, like thousands of just comments like Splinter Cell flying through, and that was my feeling as well. I was hoping that he's going to say one more thing, everything turns dark, and then you can hear the sound. That was a terrible impression, but the sound that this night vision goggle from Sam Fisher that it does. And then just a short teaser, like boom, boom, boom. Here's a little bit of gameplay, cut together in 10 seconds. And here is the name, and it's, Splinter Cell, whatever. I'm not going to come up with a name now, but you know what I mean. I was really hoping for that to happen. Maybe we see it at Sony. You know, it's possible that they hold it back and it's kind of an exclusive reveal for the Sony conference. I doubt it though, because I mean, this is Ubisoft. This was their hero moment where they were, trying to shine, and they didn't show it. So I assume there is just no new Splinter Cell game that should be announced. But that's not the only thing that they have so many interesting brands that they could have brought back in a show like this. There was no Watch Dogs, there was no Rayman, no Anno, right? They have all these brands that they could bring back where people would be excited about. There was, again, like I said before, not a lot of gameplay in this whole presentation, and it just felt like there were a lot of add-ons to existing games. Like, here's For Honor, and there's a new DLC, and yes, The Division is a new game and all that, but a lot of the stuff that they showed felt like, it's building on existing brands, and there was not this one moment where I was like, wow, that's, something I didn't see coming. Anyway, it wasn't a bad show. I enjoyed it. It was fun, but I was kind of missing the surprises a little bit, as I did with some of the other conferences. Anyway, guys, these are my thoughts. Let me know what you thought down in the comment section below. Did you enjoy the show? Where would you rate that, right? Is it your favorite show? Was it better or worse than Bethesda? Was it better or worse than Xbox? I mean, the EA show I'm not even going to put in here because I think we all agree that was worse than a car crash in which everybody died. The whole car caught fire and just exploded and everyone died. So, yeah, leave that down in the comment section below. What are your thoughts? What's your favorite so far from this year's E3? Later tonight, in about 2 hours, we're going to get the Sony conference. I'm not going to do this tonight. I did it last night with Bethesda. I stayed awake, and it was a terrible mistake. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Also, leave a like if you did not enjoy it. I hate this. Some people, they come in and they just dislike the video without giving a reason why. And it's like, okay, cool, you dislike it. That's fine. Just tell me why. Do you disagree with me? Do you not like how I do the videos? Just give me an indicator so I can freaking work on it. Anyway, those were my thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys. I see you next time. Take care.